Halo, 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 dzień dobry moi drodzy, dzień dobry. W kolejnym live'ie zrobiłam posta, że będzie wieczorem. Trochę późny ten wieczór. Ale drzewa to ważna sprawa. Tym bardziej jak się czytało przez całą noc manuę i w sumie to się prawie nic nie spało. Więc stwierdziłam, że wcisnę jeszcze trochę snu przez dzień, a jak pisałam posta, to dopiero kończyłam sprzątać. Więc tak, dzisiaj zagramy sobie w Don't Eat the Cashier. Wyglądało zarąbiście. Znalazłam to na itch.io. I no cóż mogę powiedzieć, no na ekranie mam tutaj już macki, Cthulhu i w ogóle oczko i w ogóle zarąbiste. Więc ja sobie tylko oczywiście uruchomiłam sobie troszeczkę wcześniej, ale nic nie... Dobra, słyszycie, jak będzie coś za cicho, bo ściszyłam troszeczkę grę, to dajcie znać. To najwyżej się ogarnie. Jest to visual novelka, więc tutaj zobaczymy, jak nam będzie szło. Myślałam, żeby dzisiaj zrobić live'a na konkretnej, tajemniczej platformie, ale tak za bardzo się stresuję i w sumie to może jutro zrobię, ale pewnie jutro też będę się za bardzo stresować, więc podejrzewam, że jeszcze nie jest teraz ten moment, żeby zacząć tam istnieć, że tak powiem. Przez to, że robiłam dzień dobry, dzień dobry, dzień dobry. Przez to, że robiłam banner tam, to w sumie zupdate'owałam banner też na YouTubie. Wiem, że jest troszeczkę niewyraźny. Nie wiem, dlaczego jest taki problem z jakością niektórych tych zdjęć, tym bardziej, że w innych miejscach na tej samej rozdzielczości wyglądają spoko, więc to jest do kombinowania i problem dla późniejszej Alex. Profilowe nadal jest takie same, też kombinuję, żeby je zmienić, ale to jeszcze nie mam pomysłu, więc to jest zmartwienie na później. Dobrze, to ja wam wyłączam Satoko. Jeżeli chodzi o nagrywanie, to jestem bardzo, że tak powiem, w kratkę. Teraz, jeżeli chodzi o nagrywanie, to rzadko nagrywam. Mam dograne jedną serię do końca, tylko że problem jest taki, że trzeba to zedytować, więc to jest męczarnia dla mnie, jak ja muszę siebie słuchać, swojego głosu, dlatego wolę robić live'y, bo tutaj zrobię live'a koniec, nie muszę się tym martwić. I jeżeli chodzi o robienie live'ów, to też jest tak w kratkę, strasznie staram się zrobić w weekendy, ale różnie to bywa. Ale to jest wszystko do wykombinowań. Po prostu mam mało czasu przez cały tydzień, więc nie mam za bardzo czasu, żeby popracować nad kanałem. No. O tak, Satoko. Albo ja wiem, mój drogi. Jakbym wiedziała, to bym powiedziała, ale nie, czemu to zaś nie widać? A! No, jasny titek. Powinno się wyświetlać. Dobra, to nie przez gierę. Dajcie mi sekundę, bo oczywiście jak coś może pójść nie tak, to coś pójdzie nie tak. Witam na moim kanale. Dobra, działa. I teraz tak, gdzie ja tu mam audio z tego? Teraz jest akurat cicho, więc teraz zobaczymy, czy to. No cóż, no. Jeżeli chodzi o ładnych panów na moim overlayu, no to dwójka jest z dosyć spicy. Cholera jasna. Tak jak nie dostaję wiadomości, powiadomień przez cały dzień, to Shein na tyle mnie kocha, że co chwila mi wysyła powiadomienia. Ale tak, na pewno ukończyłam studniówkę, ale nasza dwójka kochanych panów jest z takiego dosyć spicy contentu. Kto wie, ten wie, kto nie wie, powinien się dowiedzieć. I mam nadzieję, że w sumie jak będę streamowała na jeszcze jednej dodatkowej platformie, tam na pewno będzie content 18+, tylko że będzie po angielsku, no to że tam troszeczkę więcej uda mi się przyciągnąć ludzi, ale nie wiem, zobaczymy. Dobra. Dałam, że gramy facetem. Można było wybrać, czy nasze zaimki to ona jej, on jego i ich. Nie. Jest taka pewna platforma do streamowania. Ona ogólnie jest przeznaczona w głównej mierze dla osób robiących roleplay, audio roleplay, czyli tutaj z tego co widziałam przez mój szybki research, to są głównie VTuberzy, którzy grają w spicy gry albo właśnie roleplayują. Nie kick. Nie wiem, czy mogę w sumie to powiedzieć, bo nie wiem, czy YouTube tego nie wykryje i nie zrobi mi problemów, jak już tym bardziej usunęli mi jeden film. Nie jestem grafikiem. Daleko mi do grafika. W teorii miałam zajęcia z grafiki komputerowej, ale to jest wszystko takie w sumie... Moja kreatywność jest na bardzo niskim poziomie. Chodzi o AirPlay. Żaden off, bo wiadomo jak to jest z offem, że w sumie ciężko się wybić i nie ma sensu. Kika nawet gałązką, patykiem nie zamierzam tykać. I tam zamierzam grać w gry, które YouTube stwierdził, że proszę pani, to nie jest content na YouTube, bo już jeden... No ale mówię, że za mnie taki grafik jest z koziej dupy trąbka, więc no cóż mogę powiedzieć. Znaczy się tak. Moje spojrzenie na taki content, dobra, mogłabym go robić, ale na pewno potrzebowałabym pomocy i na pewno nie byłby to całkowicie rozbierany content, ale bieliźniany jak najbardziej. No, ale wiem, że to się za bardzo nie przyjmie, więc nawet nie próbuję, tym bardziej, że no tutaj mam dosyć na YouTubie, patrząc na najbardziej oglądaną serię u mnie, no to jest Let's Play z księżniczek i ja tutaj zabłysnę, powiedzmy, bieliźnianym contentem, no to nie będzie za ciekawie. Ale tak, jeżeli chodzi o filmik, który usunął mi YouTube, jest przez to, że wyczuwałam się bardzo w to, co czytałam w grze Zero Wake Gates. Tam są szmeksi panowie, którzy robią szmeksi rzeczy z innymi szmeksi panami. No i YouTube stwierdził, że moje jęki są i usunęli mi całkowicie live'a i dostałam strajk. Dlatego w sumie myślę, żeby zacząć tam na tym Airplayu grać właśnie w takie gry. Może, jeżeli mi się uda, jeżeli się w końcu przemogę, no to na pewno skończę czytanie Zero Wake Gates tam i planuję Horses, bo w sumie nie wiem, jak tam jest z cenzurą, więc tam na pewno byłoby Horses. A tak, w sumie to nawet może jakieś takie śmieszne hentajowe gry, bo w sumie zawsze byłam ciekawa, na czym one polegają. Jest ich pierdyliard, tym bardziej dostępnych na Steamie, więc że tak powiem, będzie to tak eksperymentalnie. Wracając do gry, jeżeli chodzi o off-topy, są u mnie. Dzień dobry, dzień dobry. Jeżeli chodzi o off-topy, no to u mnie to jest bardzo, 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 bardzo ogromny problem, za co przepraszam, ale po prostu ostatnio nawijam jak najęta i skaczę przez tematy, więc będę się starała trzymać jakoś fason, ale zobaczymy, czy się uda. Tak jak mówiłam, ustawiliśmy sobie zaimki na jego i lecimy w sumie. Body type. Let's choose one. Pretty boy. What's your name? Alex. Nie będę pisała Black Rose, bo to potem dziwnie wygląda. Niech będzie Alex. Your name is Alex. Sometimes I really wonder how did I end up here. Not that I dreamed of a career as a neurosurgeon or an astronaut, but for crying out loud working on a gas station. On the other hand, money is money. Dziękuję. Życzę miłego wieczorku. Czemu nie ma gry? Znaczy dźwięku z gry. Mam nadzieję, że nie dupnie teraz, jak się zacznie tak naprawdę. I sent out resumes. Ja nie wytrzymam. Resumes to every conceivable and inconceivable place, applying for every position where I could somehow use my degree in art. O nie. Zero responses. I had to swallow my pride and find at least something. Human organism wanted for work at gas station. Organism's duties include selling food for mouth, silence and obedience, household tasks, obeying those who are more ancient. A friendly team offers new and old faces of friends, long and different life, consumption of nourishment, juicy juices. trips to human place. I found this note stuck to the glass of the bus stop. Food for mouth. Seriously, the guy's got a style of his own. Apparently the manager is just an eccentric dude, or is this their new marketing tactic to grab attention? Whatever. People often told me that I have my quirks too, and that's even if they haven't seen. Well, whatever, as long as he's not a complete jerk who'll hit on me or make me scrub the floors with a toothbrush. Kocham to. O nie! Tu jest pan z Mandela katalog. I didn't scream, I couldn't move. Jeszcze nie jest chyba za głośno. I couldn't move. My brain feverishly tried to find an Ja nie wytrzymam, ta drzema, to był bardzo zły pomysł. Category for this in its database: hallucination, psychosis, too many energy drinks, a typical middle manager. The monster from my nightmares stirred. Its tentacles crept closer to the counter. My god, the creature made a sound, not from a mouth, it had none. The sound emanated from deep within its bulk, hollow, profound bone shaking. Greetings, organism, I am Biob, the indescribable and terrifying consumer of worlds. But you, grain of salt, may call me Manager Bob. No, this isn't real, I'm dreaming, I need to wake up. You will sell food for mouths and obey me, for I am ancient. Memorize the rules of this establishment, for my patience is as limited as the salary I offer you. Rule number 1, you sell, no matter what. Chicken food for the mouth, gremlin fuel, noodles made from cursed souls, lottery ticket for extra limb raffles, discount rod, ritual foil, everything must be sold. He points directly at me with that creepy slimy tentacle. Every miserable unit of currency brings me closer to my triumphant exit from this pitiful hole. I pinch myself but didn't wake up. Rule number 2, be polite to customers, ignore bald spots in a werewolf's fur, and watch out for drafts when ectoplasmic energetic entities are in the store. What? But don't let them get too bold. Customers are just walking containers for currency, and they should only pay in monetary units. Payment in existential dread or hair of the dead is not accepted. Many of them come here just to chat because they are idle and purposeless organisms. Your task is to make them part with their currency anyway. It is also your duty to heal. I am in hell. Heal organisms if they are injured using special kits. If they die, then they can't give away currency. Werewolves, ectoplasmic entities, and what the hell are you anyway? Excuse me there, sir, you seem to have mentioned werewolves and ectoplasm. Silently tremble with fear. Zrobimy sobie save. My voice is as polite as possible. I manage to compress my primal screaming panic into a tight ball and shove it deep down. Werewolves? And that's not to mention that you yourself are a giant meatball with tentacles, damn you. I shall answer your question, curious polite organism. Werewolves and ectoplasmic entities are just a few examples of the many insignificant life forms that frequent this establishment. What unites them, what the fuck? Unites them is that they are all slaves to consumption, just like your kind. As for my nature, I am your immediate supervisor and the guarantor of your future financial prosperity. I'm at a gas station for monsters. I got a job with Cthulhu for minimum wage. Brzmi jak typowa praca za minimalną krajową. This is all you need to know. No, only I decide what I need to know. That really is all I need to know. I fear any more knowledge will surely drive me insane. Dokładnie. Weźmy przykład z mitologii. Mitologii Cthulhu. Im mniej wiemy, tym bezpieczniej. For the first time, something resembling approval flickers across Bob's many-eyed face. Czemu tam było serduszko przy imieniu? Ja nie chcę być Bobem. A rare and unexpected display of the grains of wisdom that have not yet left the human species. Embrace your ignorance. Let it become your shield and a direct path to the status of human employee of the month. And what does the human employee of the month get? They have to work here for a whole month. A cash bonus of 25 cents. Mr. Krabs, is that you? I understand that you, human, are already extremely excited about this, but that's not all. You will also have access to the elite manager's restroom for one full work cycle. During its use, there is only a 7% chance that you will be transported to a dimension of endless pain, suffering, and unimaginable torment. Truly generous. He suddenly places a jar in front of me on the counter. And the last rule, remember organism. This tip container must be filled with money by the end of your wake circle. If the bottom of the jar is visible, you will clean the sanitary rooms with this object in the dimension of absolute horrors and suffering for 2,510 years. I couldn't take my eyes off the book, the potential tool of my eternal servitude. At this moment, my mind fully capitulated. Yes, I was hired by a multi-eyed cosmic architect squid. Yes, my clients will be non-humans. Yes, I'm being threatened with a fork and eternal toilet cleaning. How could anyone clean anything with a fork? The same will happen if you even think of escaping before the end of your work contract. My oculus sensorium perceives the sadness of matters. It will detect you in any corner of this pitiful planetary sphere. Crap, I'm stuck here. I'm in a trap. Do you understand, organism? Yes, sir. 2,510. Why not 2,511? Yes, sir. Acceptable. Goodbye, organism. Good luck in your currency acquisition and button pressing. Could you show me exactly how I press the buttons? Point at buttons on the vending machine. Yes, I think I can handle this perfectly. Vending machine. Czemu tu pisze bober? Ja się tak właśnie zastanawiałam, co tu pisze? Bobek? Ale nie, to jest chyba bober. Bober, naprawdę bober. Kocham tą grę. To chyba ma jakieś znaczenie. I pointed the sticky buttons on the vending machine. Bob's central eye looked at my finger, then at the machine, then back at my face. The creature's eyes. A tentacle extends from his body with torturous slowness. With the drama of a pianist playing the last tragic note, the tip of the tentacle presses down. Click. Bob waits expectantly. Didn't get it. Got it. Your capacity for learning is phenomenal. This concludes the briefing. Remain as polite an organism as you are. He didn't turn around as a human would. His tentacles simply shifted his entire mass in another direction with a soft gurgling sound as he waddles across the linoleum. Finally, he left me alone. The silence at the gas station was broken only by the hum of refrigerators containing juicy juices and the buzzing of the neon lamp above my head. I stood in the same spot, as if rooted to the ground. My breath returned to me in a sharp, uneven gasp. My hands were shaking. The tip jar which I needed to fill to avoid ending up in a dimension of ancient horrors still stood proudly on the counter. Okay, so what just happened? Option 1. I've gone insane. That's the most logical conclusion. Prolonged stress from job hunting, malnutrition, nerves, anxiety, and disturbed sleep schedule. My brain just malfunctioned. Yes, that's it. I'm going to wake up on my couch in my dingy rented apartment. I pinched myself again, and nothing. I scanned the room once more. It smelled of gasoline and old coffee. It was still absurdly real. And that meant everything he said. It was all true. Werewolves, vampires, tips, the fork. A hysterical mix of laughter and a scream of terror welled up in my throat, but I held it back. I needed to get through this. I needed to... Huh? Oh no. Don't tell me that's the first customer. Bells? What the hell? Shit. Where the hell did this clown come from? It's a jester, not a clown. It took great effort not to look away from these red eyes burning in the pitch black darkness. Is he amused? Is he wondering if I'm tasty? Bob didn't exactly give any guarantees that I wouldn't get devoured at work. My brain, still recovering from the encounter with Bob, was frantically trying to figure out how to break this ringing silence. You can't disappear with the sound of creepy piano, sir. Isn't it strange that I work at a gas station for a couple of bucks, yet you are the one who wears the jesters? Good evening, sir. What would you like to purchase? Please don't eat me, I'm just a miserable, tasteless cashier. That's quite witty. That's the first joke I've had in this wonderful place, and it wasn't disappointing. It's so amusing that I might not turn your cash register into you, and you into the cash register. You're not going to do what? I'd also rather not become a cash register. Thank you. I still need to sell a lot of juicy juices today. Yes, let me just use the cash register for its intended purpose. What would you like to purchase? And even in the face of existential transformation, you're still talking about your juicy duty. But have you considered the opinion of the cash register itself? You have a unique opportunity to do so. Just one word. I don't want to know what the cash register might tell me, considering everything I've seen and how sticky it is. My god, another crazy person with a strange way of speaking. And it seems he is in the mood for a chat. So, what is a beautiful, handsome gentleman like you doing in such a dreadful, dirty island of misfortune? Rather, what is a place like this doing with such a handsome gentleman as you? Oh, wait, where are my manners? I suppose I must introduce myself. I have many names, most of which are not fit to be spoken in the company of a lovely gentleman. The nicest I've heard is the Mad King. A title I plan to pass from me to myself from the coming centuries. However, my mortal mother called me Darian. Now, may I have your hand? Offer him your hand? Albo, sorry, my mother told me not to offer my hand to strangers, or any other parts of me, sir, or your highness. Boję się, że jak po prostu damy mu naszą rękę, to on nas, nie wiem. He bursts into genuine, booming laughter. Your mother was truly a wise woman. A masterful stroke of self-preservation. I haven't been rebuffed so delightfully in, well, at least a century. Others prefer to use enchant swords and pitchforks. They forget that words can won't too. But perhaps I can still melt your heart. I have an entire eternity for that, literally. May I know your name? My name is Alex. I am also a king, the king of the gas station. My name is Alex, sir. I refuse to reveal my true name. Demons may always do terrible things with them. My name is Alex, but my friends call me Big D, or they would if I had any. A king, your majesty. Idzie nam cudownie. Forget my outrageous ignorance. I did not recognize the sovereign of this noble kingdom of oil and discounted juicy drinks. You are a king with a wonderful sense of humor, as am I. There's nothing better for subjects than a ruler who appreciates a good joke. Many believe that absolute power makes a ruler's sense of humor more sadistic. But as far as I'm concerned, they just never had a good, entertaining time impaling people. I humbly bow before you, your majesty of the midnight shift. Sorry I didn't send invoice ahead. Apologies not accepted. You'll have to be escorted out of the kingdom. I grant you my royal pardon. I wish to vassalize you about our selection. I grant you my royal pardon. A pardon from the lips of the king himself. How my wounded soul rejoices. I am redeemed, reborn in the light of your mercy. This act of mercy will be sung by the poets of my realm, those who can still rhyme, rather than to swallow in alcoholic oblivion. You know, my company has an especially interesting effect on the artistic types, as I've discovered. To niedobrze, bo my jesteśmy artistic type. Nothing surprising here. It seems I've gone mad myself, or halfway there. Maybe it happened around the time I decided to become an artist. I am indeed exchanging silly jokes with some mysterious toothy entity as if it's nothing. Maybe I just adapt to this new profession really quickly. Or perhaps I had a stash of nerves of steel in a bag. I can't shake the feeling though that this clown is about to explode himself or blow me up. I feel like my brain is turning to jelly. And I don't understand when we'll finally get to the point. Actually, it's not all that bad. Maybe I'm just being spoiled by all these mangas about sinister and tragic monsters. Oops. Though the only tragic thing about this client so far is his tragic unwillingness to buy my discount rod. So let's finally get to the purpose of my visit. Finally. It's completely unknown to me. Oh, for crying out loud. There's nothing interesting in the assortment of this pathetic shack. Except for you, so I'm buying your time. Let's have dinner. I'm sure you must be hungry. Oh no. Allow me to create a more pleasant atmosphere for us. Praise the goat mother. Where are we? I'm shivering from a gust of icy wind. It just teleported half of my gas station to a radioactive dump, or a radioactive dump to my gas station. And the jar is gone, my freaking jar! Put it back the way it was in the jar. Looks like my rental apartment, but it seems to smell less now. What a wonderful place for dinner. Radioactive cockroaches on the menu. Nie wiem, po co tyle zapisuję, ale nie chcę go zdenerwować, bo jak go zdenerwuję, to wczytam. My dear, I suspected your life hasn't been easy, but was it really that bad? Don't worry, I won't abandon a lord in distress. Just say the word, and I'll relocate you to one of these incredibly cozy dwellings. I'm sure the local cockroaches won't mind, and together you can fully enjoy the scent of atomic decay. However, I can't go along with how familiar landscapes, already ruined lands, make me melancholic because of all the fun that happened without me. Disgusting. Allow me. This is something seemingly less radioactive. Amazingly, I haven't thrown up yet. It feels like I've been flushed twice through an interdimensional toilet. I clear my throat. Seems like I'm sitting at a table. Much better, wouldn't you agree? Couldn't be better. It's beautiful here, and strange. Is this your home? I preferred to dump. Well, maybe? Words of a true poet, Alex, A myśmy nie powiedzieli chyba ci imienia? Czy powiedzieliśmy? My two favorite categories, strange and beautiful. This place is much more than a home. It's my cage and my greatest canvas for creativity. Every ugly tree, every mad toad, every eye-bearing mushroom is all a piece of me. A marvelous, marvelous place, except when the rocks grow legs and start running. Including those that people make their homes out of. And now you're part of this place too, isn't it wonderful? I'm slowly getting used to the landscape. The fireflies here are quite charming, but I'd be better without that frog with a human face. The frog, no, this is me. Too. It lets out a sad croak and then looks at me with an expression of deep existential despair. See nothing about the frog with a human face? I point at the frog with a human face. Who is that? That's Lorelei, one of the brave souls who dared to challenge my authority. My dear friend who once walked the path of adventure. However, he didn't foresee the possibility of being turned into a frog on a whim. He even tried to wield a sword with his tiny froggy legs. Fought to the end, a true warrior. Now, however, his foes are mosquitoes and bigger frogs. Tell me, dear, does he bother you? His little existential froggy crisis, I mean. Is it ruining the ambience? He looks at me with an interested expression. Hold on, I don't want to make a decision yet. What exactly did Lorelei do? Przepraszam. Yes, please disintegrate him. Can you remove him gently? He's suffered enough. I don't mind Lorelei. No, I want him to watch. Za dużo wyborów! Dobra, żadna nie daje serduszek, więc... What did this walking sack of manure do besides trying to kill me? Oh, plenty. He swung a sword blazing with righteous fury or some nonsense. Or such nonsense. He dared to come to my home, a world born of my shattered mind, and dictated that the natural order should be such a audacious vile creature. He made such repulsive noises, clanking, grumbling, shouting, praying, threatening, moralizing. The last part was the hardest to endure. But as it turns out, holiness doesn't prevent frogification or chairification. I found various uses for Lorelei over the years of our friendship. Oh, the fall of the great Lorelei, the funniest Tuesday of the century, a Tuesday filled with pomp, irony, and croaking. Maybe you could break the spell. Perhaps he's learned his lesson. Alright, I guess I'd also turn someone who tried to kill me into a frog. Got it. Exactly, my dear, you see and understand. It's simple cause and effect, action and reaction. He who comes to me with a sword shall leave as a frog. That's how it went, right? Oh, you truly are a kindred spirit, Alex. I knew there was delightful darkness behind those beautiful eyes. He looks at me with an interested expression. I don't mind, Lorelei. You don't mind? Excellent! I think he really sets the tone for the whole clearing aesthetically. A living monument to the consequences of poor life choices. Lorelei, did you hear that? The law grants you a stay of execution. You may continue a pitiful mosquito-infested existence. So then, I'm sure you must be starving. Traveling between realities must be exhausting. This looks strange, but it smells delicious. Meat with honey. And next to the meat, a purple soup, possibly made from a less fortunate cashier. Whether the food is poisoned or not, if I refuse, his highness might turn me into a frog too, so I pick up a fork from the table. And this is the most delicious thing I've ever tasted. It's 100 times better than these cheap instant noodles I usually buy in supermarkets. Even the fact that I'm currently in some other universe surprisingly doesn't seem to harm my appetite. It seems you enjoy our cuisine. My chefs have always managed to cook well on those occasions when I notice it. I assure you, you won't regret this dinner, at least not for the first half hour after the meal. Yes, thank you. You are very kind. This is the best purple goo in my miserable life as a miserable cashier. Why are you doing all this? The tin and the teleports, all that. Thank you for the food on my plate not staring back at me. Nie podoba mi się. Why? What a delightful, pointless question, even by my standards. I do it because I can. I do it because the alternative is crushing, great, predictable boredom. Boredom. And brought you here, Alex, because for the first time in a very, very long time, you are not boring. Because you feel me less than my subjects do, and you can hold a meaningful, albeit questionable, conversation unlike my subjects. But even when you interlocutor's mind is as sturdy as with paper, all the joy of conversation quickly evaporates. Maybe it's because you keep turning them into animals, or stay silent. That's exactly what I mean, my dear. What an amazingly insightful observation. You are a thorn in my sinful side. However, it's only a punishment for the most audacious ones. A ruler of God and monster. Wybaczcie? But no one ever wants to see the other side. And that's truly a pity. What if it's as good as the first sight, or conversely terrifying? It would be so exciting to find out. I poke at the food with my fork and watch the peculiar scenery from the corner of my eye. A silence hangs between us that might even be called cozy, where I under heavy narcotics. What's your favorite animal? Yeah, what's your favorite animal? Like you ask, it's right here on our plates. Just kidding, but I do need some time to think. Let's see, the riding flea has its own charms, very disgusting ones. Carnivorous butterflies are beautiful, but they're dumb and noisy, and as we know, only what's empty inside makes a noise. So what's in my head? It's always ringing. I think it's a dog. It loves its owner with all its heart, whether they're a saint or a serial killer, and doesn't notice the difference. It lives in a constant joyful state of blissful ignorance and misplaced enthusiasm. A creature that finds endless joy in the utterly meaningless. It's truly inspiring. Dogs are the jesters of the animal world, and I adore them for it. Especially the small wrinkly ones. Aww. And what about you? Cats. To them, we're probably the jesters. I'll keep it a secret. Oh, indeed. They are the true rulers of this reality, tiny furry gods of apathy and disdain, and we are the obedient, foolish caretakers. But I've been lucky enough to escape their tyranny and instead enjoy my own and feed those around me. I return to my meal, and just as I chew another bite, I hear His Highness' voice. By the way, how does the meat taste? Wiedziałam, że to będzie ludzkie mięso. Czemu wy macie ucięty ekran i nikt mi nic nie mówi? Wiedziałam, że to będzie ludzkie mięso. Kocham tą grę. Kocham ją. Is the human flesh tender enough? My fork finishes halfway. Vomit? Bicie serca słyszę. Why the hell is there human flesh on my plate? Swallow with difficulty. Yet thank you, quite tender. Not as tasty as the one I had the day before yesterday. Not as tasty as the one I had the day before yesterday. Chew while looking him in the eye. You're the law here. Więc tak, swallow with difficulty. Albo not as tasty. Oops. Ale jak... Dobra. Tu sobie zapiszę. And while most gentlemen would faint or have a fit, you mind your manners. Charming. But don't worry, my little polite marble statue. It's just venison. Uff, to dziczyzna. Szkoda. As far as I can tell by taste, not very intelligent. It's definitely not Timmy, our carpenter, who unexpectedly disappeared near the large kitchen cauldron, perfectly sized to fit in it. Definitely not. I've personally issued several decrees related to cannibalism, perhaps even concerning its prohibition, but that's beside the point. I rarely have visitors, and I'd like to tell you about other interesting guests. After all, it's the most fascinating thing I can share with you. For a place where mushrooms with eyes grow, it can be incredibly dull here. Shadow in the clearing thick and still. They detach from the gnarled trees rising up from the ground like black ink and spread across the wall. Dancing and intertwining, they prepare to perform at their master's whim. Behold this incredibly crooked castle, my dear, crooked to the point of absurdity. Sadly, in reality, its curves look far more aesthetic, but give the creator some leeway for expressiveness. Many brave and not so bright souls have tried to conquer this terrifying dark, eerily crooked castle, so many that it became even more crooked. You see the dreadful monster living there, never like being distracted from its important duties. Terribly important duties, like having a long deep... Dobra, teraz to już jest za głośno. Troszeczkę ściszymy. On reflection or concocting recipes with raisin. What a terrifying monster. So far, the scariest thing in this story is the presence of raisins. Listen silently. Yes, you do understand. They are a real horror, aren't they? Tiny shriveled bits of deception. They pretend to be sweet, but they are just made to ruin. They'll ruin lovely cookies, ruin family photos. They have no place in civilized society. Oh, how I understand them. The monster was a tyrant, a menace. He sowed chaos and disorder, mostly on purpose. He had countless opportunities for creativity and wasn't afraid to use them. He made some people believe they were pigeons and others that they were cranes. He wouldn't allow his best servants to have windows, fearing that the moon and both suns would get envious and want to take them away, and he demanded they seal the gaps in the doors well. He locked wizards who came to him for magical gifts in a giant laboratory and promised them power if they invented a kettle that could boil everything except water. Did they eventually invent the kettle? Who won, the pigeons or the cranes? Invented? Oh, they did much more. After 11 years of failed prototypes, a few explosions, and the chemicals running away on their own legs, they succeeded. The kettle could boil even bright memories, but no water. Water would instantly freeze, explode, and file for divorce. I immediately rewarded them with a new invention idea, a cup with a sealed top and without a bottom. Let's see how they handle that. So, a turn-over cup. But I digress. But behold, a ray of light in the Dark Kingdom, the first hero. The glory. The righteous in all his clanging, self-important glory. He took a need to rest briefly because the weight of his righteousness was bad for the health of his poor back. Following rumors spread by this monster, he fought his way through monsters' loyal subjects to... By the way, where did he even find them? Most of my subjects are too busy contemplating the color of suspenders for the suspenders of lament... or lamenting their fate. I cherish them in their imperfection. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They were probably the most restless of them. Even story needs minions. In any case, our hero descended into the Grotto of Despair, the Grotto of Tentacles. Imagine the most sinister name you can conjure. The Grotto of my parents' disapproval in me. The Grotto of Kidney Stones. The Grotto of Despair sounds about right. The dreadful, imperfect human body. There was applications having them in your kidneys. What a joy that now I can choose how many I have. I prefer a negative number. But let's not get sidetracked. Into the Grotto of Kidney Stones, our hero descended to retrieve an artifact capable of defeating the Monster King. The ring? Oh, what's that? Oh. The ring of incredible power, a bit shoddily crafted, but I assure you it looks more asserting in real life. However, the brave king didn't know that the incredible power of the ring lay in its 440 pounds weight. That was its only magical property. The only incredible thing about this ring was its incredible stupidity and uselessness. The realization that he had spent weeks of his life on a divinely heavy paperweight, and the sudden crushing thought that he should have become a baker instead of a hero just to get some sleep. Well, it broke his poor noble mind. Not that this mind was ever intended for serious burdens. No, the night. Yes, to hell with the night. A bit of gloating, a touch of delightful, deserved cynicism. How splendid. How wonderful that we shared this dish together. So the night perished. But then along came Elmer Eagle Eye. They say he earned his nickname by escaping from an enemy fortress. On the third day of his captivity, he noticed that his prison cell was lacking the fourth wall. An archer of legendary skill who tried to kill me with a precise shot constantly, during breakfast, while bathing, at balls, during sleep, and even while I was devising a plan to get rid of him. The audacity. I had just killing them, turning them into madmen is much more fun. And I bestowed a little curse upon the elf as well. I made it so that every time he drew his bowstring, he'd hear the most annoying melody in his ears. Tak, cierpienie, memowe cierpienie. Elmer was a terrible racist. He hated dwarves, and naturally the melody became the national anthem of the dwarves, played in a loop by a bagpipe orchestra. The pure rage. It provoked, derailed his aim every time. Eventually, he stormed the castle, dropped his bow, and begged for a job at my court in exchange for changing the song to anything else. He was desperate, and I was a villain. Everything aligned incredibly well. No, now he's my royal huntsman. The dwarf march is replaced with a lively elven sea shanty, and let no one dare accuse me of being callous and heartless. Now he has a salary, good food, clothing, entertainment, and a full guarantee of non-dismemberment. He must be permitted to change his dwarf national anthem to dwarf serenades. Alex, where were you before? Halls, oaths, and comparisons to love stalactites. Endless rhymed verses about the shine of a beloved beard. It's a refined, dwellish thing. Why didn't I think of it myself? To torment a man not with sound of war and patriotism, but with the clumsy, heartfelt caterwauling of a species he despised, turning a love song into an instrument of pure heart-wrenching agony. Brilliance! Well, I'll steal your idea for the future. And finally, the witch. In a classic giant hat, under which you could easily fit another witch. She tried a different approach, seduction. She attempted to charm me, to gain my trust, to become my spouse. A fatal miscalculation. She didn't consider the fact that I never trusted big hats, or people, especially when both came hand in hand, and those who wear suspenders and a belt at the same time. A person who doesn't even trust their own pants certainly doesn't earn the trust of His Highness. Then again, I don't trust His Highness either. I don't trust myself, especially the left side of my brain, especially on Thursdays. But back to hats. I hate big bucks. I'm sorry, no. I hate big hats too. You are my kindred spirits. Those hats are so pretentious, so self-assured. They block the view, get stuck in doorways, and always hint that the wearer is compensating for something. Usually a lack of magical talent or a pitiful personality, and that's on a good day. You, my dear Alex, have impeccable taste in headwear and consequently in everything else. It's a scientifically proven fact. Meanwhile, the witch was quite over in her murderous intentions, jiggling with all her concealed weapons. Why does the witch need so many hidden blades? She must have been very bad at witchery. In any case, she now resides in my dungeon, and you see, I haven't decided what to do with her yet. Czy my zdecydujemy? Her fate is a blank slate, a story yet to be written, so I offer you the pen. I simply adore random choices. Give me yours, Alex. What punishment befits her? What? Does he really want me to decide what to do with a real person? Can I even save her? And does it matter what I choose? Everything here follows his whims anyway. But as long as I play the circus monkey, I have a chance to get out of here alive. Maybe I should just entertain him. Damn, what should I do? Turn her into a hat, a small one. The one who lived by a big hat shall become a small hat. The irony is so absurd, it's beautiful. So be it, let her be a small cap of eternal regrets. She tried to get into my head, and now she can barely cover it. A brilliant sentence. Something is missing from this tale. You never told me about the monster itself. Yeah, who cares about these monsters anyway? Insist I do. If monsters are the mug, then I'm the pig, you see. How eloquent. Alright. I must admit this will be my first performance like this. Darian sounds a bit bewildered, it seems. Allow me to just toss my mind up and see how it lands. You see, the monster was originally much more modest and less majestic, but we all have to start somewhere, right? Then my head suddenly became a big crowded first whispers, then arguments and full-fledged discussion that had to be participated in and involved in inanimate objects. Guests in ajar doors, closets, even in cookie jars, every containing a potential foe, and I was surrounded by containers. To be fair, sometimes they told funny stories. But why was I afflicted with this curse? Pondering it drives me mad even more so. It seems to question is meant for me. Were you cursed for arrogance, greed? Did you touch a cursed artifact? Maybe some ring of yours? Does your family have anything in common with the Habsburgs? Remain silent. Ha! My gentleman, that's so mundane, but that's exactly what happened. You've guessed it. It's all about rotten blood. Too pure, I beg your pardon. My great-grandfather issued a decree forbidding death from old age, and a distant aunt believed a colony of sentient mold was living in her walls, claiming her inheritance. But I always thought that I would be spared this fate. I had to be temporarily isolated to avoid embarrassing guests at loyal balls with the young prince pointing at noble lords and saying, "Haha, the gnomes finally got out from under my bed." What a misfortune for the entire family, except for those in line for the throne before me. My death would have solved many problems for my family, and indeed many of my own problems too. I made a decision, we made it to be precise. There was already a whole council of us by then. However, chaos had other plans. A god, a goddess, a cosmic clerical heir. I don't know, something Asian and terribly bored found itself a new source of entertainment. It offered me a throne, my own corner of reality to rule, where the fragments of my mind would become the laws of the land. No more restrictions or pants for my subjects, if I wished. My subjects at first they disagreed, but then they came to terms. All their mind changed to fit the new realities. And here I am. A dramatic silence ensues. Perhaps I am the first being to hear the story in the centuries of his existence. I must choose my next words carefully. Thank you for the story. You're welcome, Alex. To be honest, it wasn't great. I'll need to add more explosions. The shadows finally dissolve into nothingness. I just turned a living being into a hat, or rather became the catalyst for it. I wonder what kind of nightmares are warrant in such a case. I'm afraid royal duties await me. Our time is up. I shall send you back, Alex. I rise from the chair. I squeeze my eyes shut. The light is blinding, even with my eyes closed, so unusual after all this darkness. The jar is full of money. It was worth it. Greetings, organism. How is your work progressing? I see the first transaction was successful. Acceptable. This still doesn't save you from the threat of cleaning sanitary facilities, but it's a wonderful starting point for your entire tiny life. The very first client sent me to another dimension and nearly turned me into a cash register. Work is going well, sir. Can I quit? Excellent. Maintain this level of productivity. You may be rewarded with an additional 5-minute feeding break for you if you can find food. Rejoice in my generosity. Continue working. I am experiencing a positive emotional reaction. I am proud of you, and I will be even prouder if you acquire even more currency. Your tactic of a gesturing carefree organism is clearly paying off. Goodbye, Mr. Manager. Your tentacles shine particularly beautiful at this time of day. Your comment regarding the shine of my appendages is noted, organism. The secret is a meticulous regimen of polishing them with void box slime. Czy to będą endingi w sumie? Zaklejone? Goodbye. He slaps across the floor to his office. As soon as Bob's rhythmic wet slaps fade away, a deep silence descends on the station. One moment, I'm in a surreal forest, dining on purple goo with a mad god. The next moment, I'm being praised by a multi-eyed tentacle monster. Maybe these are all just my deathbed hallucinations. I'm going insane. Some part of me enjoys these mad adventures. God, give me back my bells, my noodles, my arguments with strangers on the internet. I'm an adrenaline junkie. Disgusting. Now I have to deal with that too. In the midst of my contemplation, terrifying sounds emanate from my boss's office. Unfair bills, unacceptably large numbers. Of course, what else could upset him so much if not that? Steps. Another visitor. This one decided to come in through the door for a change. He seems unwell. I hope he doesn't knock over my shelves of shampoo with jojoba oil and delicate lilies on his way. On wygląda trochę jak Johnny Cash. He's not just unwell, he looks like hell, literally. All the skin on the left side is torn off from his jaw to his temple. I swallow nervously. What kind of meat grinder has this guy been through? He looks like someone who could rip me apart if he doesn't like what he hears. I need to be careful if I don't want to become the next victim. You look like the Terminator at the end of the second movie, buddy. The Terminator who just wrecked my entire floor. Give him a thumbs up. Nie widziałam Terminatora i brzmi to jak coś niemiłego, więc zrezygnujemy z pierwszej opcji. How's life, sir? Well, it's hard to imagine how the other fighter looks. When will the Lord take my sinful soul? Break down in tears, you don't want to work here anymore. He lets a gurgling, raspy laugh. You don't want to know what the other fighter looks like. Honestly, I really don't want to know. My inner archive labeled, I don't want to know this, is at risk of bursting from overflow tonight. Words clearly come to him with great difficulty, which is probably not surprising for a man without half a face. He clears his throat, but that doesn't help much. I need blood. He tried to smile. It would be charming if he still had all the necessary muscles for that. Now it will haunt me in my nightmares, among other things. The client pauses again briefly to clear his throat. Mind recalling horror, don't kill me, I'm already having a bad streak in life. We don't do transfusions here, no IV drips, just discounted rods. How about tomato juice? Strong vintage. Let me see what we have. Yeah, good choice, pretty boy. Step up to the storage, just in case. He suddenly leans forward, boring into me with his remaining eye. Go and find me some goddamn blood. Go and find the damn blood. Czyli jest wampirem. A strange pressure builds in my head, and the edges of my vision blur. An unwielding comment blossoms in the center of my mind. I don't know why, but I feel an incredibly strong urge to find blood right now. Dobra, najpierw się przypatrzymy, co tu się dzieje. Okej, nie widzę nic konkretnego, tym bardziej nawiązanie, ale może coś jeszcze znajdę. My client is covered in blood, but still hungry. Maybe he fought with something inedible. Or is it his own? I found myself in a storeroom. A tangled labyrinth of shelves reaching up to the ceiling, stuffed with boxes, crates, and mysterious cans. In the corner, something rustled and snorted suspiciously. So where could the blood be? I need to think fast. He's not going to wait forever. Right now, I'm at the very beginning of this crazy place. Bob, where's the blood? Go to the food for mouth section. Go to the food for mouth. These signs are driving me insane. I really hope my manager will eventually learn English properly. I'm surrounded by pure madness of anxious packaging, and even in front of the department entrances, there's some baby food for cyborgs piled up. I'm frantically trying to decipher the crooked inscriptions. In front of me are section with food for mouth. Dense energy blocks for chewing. Infused nutritional flaws. Here are endless shapes of drinks next to Coca-Cola, a bottle labeled liquid regret and primordial broth, now with nucleotides. Cans labeled Brab C, vodka Solencho. I love to meet the person who came up with these names. I check every shelf, brushing aside cans of essence of shits and giggles, but find nothing resembling blood. The closest thing is liquid hematogen in a giant wooden container. It smells worse than it looks. I go back. I hear knocking. It's the dry rhythmic tapping of knuckles on a laminated countertop. It's not loud but persistent and full of irritation. In front of me are sections with food for mouth. This aisle is crammed with chips, pasta, crackers, jerky, and chocolate bars. All the usual stuff if you don't look too closely. Next to the Doritos bag slides a pack of crystallized whales resembling translucent stone lollipops. Cans of peas huddled together in fear as I pass by another shelf, nervously glancing around. I quickly scan the shelves. There's no blood here unless you count the dried stain on the nutritional breaks package. I need to go back. Maybe it's about regeneration or something else, but he seems better because I hear impatient footsteps. Yeah. Great, now he's fidgeting. He can't sit still anymore. This isn't just impatience, it's anxiety, and I really don't know where this anxiety could lead him. I need to hurry. In front of me are sections with a mouth, we're afraid of it. The coldest corner of the store. Jesus, to może być przecież tu! Large freezer, chests, and refrigerators with glass doors are covered in frost. Next to the frozen pizza are gremlin Creole capsules. And among the buckets of ice cream, you can find flavors like minty tritium and liquid family. Oh my god, a huge freezer chamber. Matter of lesser life forms, spare parts of human organisms, product of animal fauna, exploitation with fruit pieces. Albo spare parts, albo matter of lesser. Let's save real quick. This section reeks of formaldehyde and horror. To nie będzie to. Bingo! There's animal food. Blood here. Perhaps it's not a good idea to feed him animal blood. Look for another option. Not a sound. Where did he go? Did he die? There are no sounds. There was no sound of a fall, and he didn't leave. I would hear the footsteps. Where did my client go? I really don't like any of this. A huge freezer chamber. This section, okay. I try not to think about one of the containers holding a name tag that reads Kevin. Take blood of human organism, Kevin. Taste of unfulfilled dreams and unwarranted expectation. Take blood of human organism, homeless, high content of cheap alcohol and tuberculosis. Take blood of human organism, Michael, taste of efficient resource and artificial accumulation. The blood in this jar has a rich, almost glowy ruby hue. It looks healthy and full of energy. Michael, whoever you were on top. Champion's blood flowed through you. You were probably something like an energy drink for the undead. And yet here you are in a jar. There's something to ponder. He abruptly lifts his head as I approach. Give me that right now. He growled at me. He snatches his dinner from my hands so quickly that I don't even have time to realize what happened. My client finishes the jar and then grimaces. Ugh, for crying out loud. What the hell is this crap? He reads the note on the jar. Michael, you were a lucky guy, Michael. Too bad I can't kill him a second time. This is like Happy Family, a successful career, a retirement account. And this Jack probably never even had cockroaches. At least he's now my liquid Michael in the jar. He chuckles quietly. Yeah, there's something to that. Cool that you found human blood. Good job, you're sharp. Glad to please you, sir. And glad you no longer want to eat me. Feel free to ask. It took longer to get to the rats. Really? With that approach to business, you'll go far, pretty boy. I'm going to wash my dirty face. Don't get bored. Well, he's not here. I have a perfect opportunity to wipe away the blood stains. I'm just scrubbing a pool of blood on my first day at work. An interesting story for Reddit. A wonderful tale. I'm doing just fine. Nobody has eaten me. Ooh! Sexy man! Oh my god! He's looking so much fresher with the second half of his face, although his expression still resembles that of a constipated owl. I'll just stand here for a while, okay? Take a little break. Besides, there's nobody here with you right now. And just so you know, if you try to contact the werewolves, I'll take your head and crush it like a walnut. I'm David, by the way. A vampire, as you may have already guessed. What an incredibly interesting way to start an acquaintance, especially that part about the walnut. Nice to meet you, Alex. Okay, Alex. I knew Alex once. He used to trade kidneys in Venice Beach. He was a good boy until he got packed up. He's trying to provoke me, deliberately sharing the dirty details of his life to see how uncomfortable I can get. No kidneys for you. I suppose I'm also selling some kidneys now. Checks the catalog. Yes, exactly 10 categories. A catalog? Do you seriously have a catalog? He leans forward, genuinely intrigued, peering into the catalog. Okay, nie brzmi to dobrze. No kidneys for you. Wow! I don't know how I'll survive this. Probably harder to survive this than working in this place. He struck a nerve. No offense, but I think I know every place in the city where you can buy a kidney. It's sadly crappy that I don't need them anymore, unless I want to sell them too. Now I have a vampire here, and he's regenerating. Wonderful. The main thing is to not accidentally blurt out something wrong. I need to be friendly. Are you sure you're a vampire, not a chupacabra? They drink blood too. Since when do vampires wear leather jackets? Don't you guys prefer capes and ruffles anymore? Thanks for not eating me, David. In reality, you're still a bit shaken from what just happened. Say nothing. Silently wipe the counter. David lets out a quiet chuckle. The guy clearly expects people to be afraid of him. He might have looked lost when he first arrived here, but now seeing my fear, he obviously feels right at home. It's not over yet. Although you're too bony. And I'm sure you love to eat all that cheap crap like instant noodles. People like that, their blood's just not tasty. Only if there's nothing more interesting in that blood. So you don't like glutamine, cholesterol, the tastiest things in the world. So let me get one thing straight. I am not food, and I am not for sale. So does alcohol affect vampires too, and other things? They crunch on my teeth. What? Get any suggestions? She likes some mouthwash. Is that the same bootleg crap that a couple of people recently kicked the bucket from, and a few others went blind? I'll take 2 cases. I really need to start my own business goals. I hope Bob will be proud of me. Yes, to answer your question, alcohol affects us, but you need a middleman. You find some junkie or alcoholic and pump them up. Then you get plastered and turn into the happiest vampire in the world. David slightly grimaces as he moves his hand. Damn much. Probably not all the wounds have healed completely, and thus being a vampire doctor fall under my duties. I think Bob said it was mandatory. Point at the wound. Let me help. Point at the wound. I don't want to help you, but my employment contract requires me to treat the creatures that come here. He looks at me skeptically. The offer of help is probably so foreign and unexpected to him that it leaves him momentarily dumbfounded. You what? You want to play nurse? A flicker of confusion is replaced by something more intense. It's just a couple of scratches and a little piece of ass that will grow back on its own. I'm fine. If you let yourself be treated, my boss will lock us both in a dimension of horror where we'll be cleaning toilets with a fork for 2,000 years. I see, you're afraid of doctors, huh? Such a tough guy, yet scared of getting treated. Say conciliatorily. You mentioned werewolves. It's probably not just a scratch. Let me try to help, okay? Really? How am I supposed to clean with a fork? And why such a ridiculous amount of time? Is there that much cosmic crap in there? Afraid? I'm not. I give him a chance to save face. Now we're treating him not because he's a wimp, but because he survived an epic battle, a direct blow to his ego. The guy immediately starts puffing up with pride, his eyes lit up. I hope I don't catch rabies. I decide to remain silent about how he's already pretty loud. 4 against 1 in a narrow alley. You know, there's a myth about werewolves being damn noble, unlike us bloodsuckers. Well, that's a load of crap. One of them was hiding in the trash can, ready to jump out at me. My heart would have definitely... my heart would have definitely stopped dead if it even still beat. It would have just ripped apart from a freaking heart attack. I'm afraid I'll never be able to take out the trash again without fearing for my life. Judging by that distant look, he's plagued by flashbacks of what he's been through. David awkwardly moves his injured hand. Alright, hand over your first aid kit. I'm sure this won't be the last pack I'll have to take down. There are way too many stray dogs around these days. Damn you, go ahead. Get out your band-aids with Dr. Chocolate or whatever you're selling. Oops. David sheds his jacket, shirt and t-shirt, then settles into a squeaky tool next to the counter. He's about to face a serious trial, staying in a vulnerable position for a few minutes. For some reason, cruel fate hasn't made him claw-proof. He certainly looks like he was just thrown into a blender. Judging by those bullet scars, he has quite an interesting past. Or maybe he was attacked by werewolf cowboys. Cowboys with guns. Most likely the former. By the way, I didn't know that corpses have doctors too. I thought the only doctor available to me now is the coroner. I'm rummaging through the necromancy kit that was sitting under the counter. It's a heavy military-style metal box with a faded label reading "Kit for Alternatively Living Organisms." Inside, besides standard bandages, there are some strange items: silver tweezers, vials of thick glowing liquid, additional fingers, and of course an instruction manual. A cheap laminated brochure stained with something that looks like coffee. Nice. In the instructions, the first point states, determine whether you are dealing with a zombie. Ask your alternatively living subject if they ever wanted to eat someone's brain. David is clearly not a zombie. Move on to the next point. He glances skeptically at the picture flashing in the instructions as I flip it over. Zombies, necromancers, abomination made of bones, flesh and cabbage swirl in front of his face like a mesmerizing kaleidoscope. And all of this lives in the city sewers? I don't know how you're going to use bathrooms now. It would be great if he didn't notice that. Why do I have to deal with all this? I still glance at my visitor. I wonder if werewolves just clawed him up or if he managed to kill someone too. My instinct, something out of a stone age, suggests that he could have. The guy has a killer's gaze. You see someone like him in the alley, your hand automatically reaches for your wallet and phone. I lower my eyes. Next point. Let's establish the nature of the injuries. What kind of wounds could werewolves leave? It's simple. You've got lacerations, claws, teeth, and a bit of saliva, possibly very contagious. David listens to this with the pride of a true soldier. Every word feels like a medal for valor, something like that. He said it as if he didn't care, but I know better. Stroke his ego, add at the end. Wounds from a real rabid beast, buddy. Shake your heads. You really need to stop with these fights. They won't lead to anything good. Stop medical discussion and just move on to the next point. He blinks in surprise. He doesn't understand whether I'm joking or showing concern. Either way, both things annoy him. And you need to stop dishing out advice and learn to do your job in silence. They say that's an incredibly useful skill. I read through what medication I need and grabbed the regenerating extract for alternatively living life forms. Now all that's left is to apply the stuff. I dip my fingers in the jar and suddenly he grabs my hand. Do something wrong and I'll rip your tonsils out through your ass. Say in a calm, icy tone, allow me to do my job, sir. I will be extremely careful. If you touch me, my boss will rip your soul out through your ass. Pull my hand away. You know, you have the fantastic talent for coming up with threats. You should write script for action movies. No way I'm a pathetic, miserable, harmless cashier. The face of an faceless representative of the service sector, my perfect shield against the surrounding world and the rude vampires that inhabit it. Watch yourself, you don't get a second chance. No, not my vampire doctor's license. Okej, nie podoba mi się. Well, I suppose it's just a matter of experience, probably. And you will watch what you're doing, or there will be consequences. It seems he just heard the best compliment of his life. I applied this black goo to the wound. A puff of steam rises from the wound, and the air starts to smell like something is frying. It's probably very painful, but David remains calm, not a single complaint, which is surprising. I hope it's not from your squid manager. Well, we all hope for that, buddy. Be more careful. My movements become slow and deliberate. I do everything cautiously, barely touching the skin around the wound, allowing him to get used to the sting. I can see the tense muscle in his back and shoulders react slightly. Relax slightly. He's still wound up, but relief is starting to wash over him. Zbliża się chyba moment, w którym czytanie staje się niewykonalnym zadaniem. Naturally, no thank yous or pleases from him, but at least he's no longer threatening to do something to my ass every 5 seconds. Distract him with conversation. You know, David, every noble knight needs someone to tend to his wounds after great battles. What are you talking about? What knight would battles? I fought in an alley stinking of urine against a bunch of dirty werewolves for territory on the outskirts of this godforsaken city. They tore my pants, and I had to take a new pair of a junkie who was lying in a puddle nearby. What am I? A knight of what? The knight of torn pants? As long as they're not stained, well, you get it. Say with the pomp of a medieval wizard, you are a wolf and hunt tonight. Oh, go to hell. Nie mogę zdecydować. Na pewno nie Bob, ale nie mogę zdecydować pomiędzy Darianem albo Davidem. And David said this almost affectionately. It seems we're making progress in our relationship. I finish up, surprisingly, the wounds really are healing. The scars won't beautify this man. Why are you doing all this? The question is asked in an astonishingly serious tone. He's driving me crazy, even more than the clown from earlier, it seems. I just want to help. Like, you want tips and to go home, play The Sims and watch the shows. I just want to help. True, if you're an angel of mercy from the dirty gas station. These are my work obligations. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't bother with you. Why? David is confused. In her system of beliefs, action always equals benefit. I'm throwing a wrench into his flawless, long-running mechanism. I can't watch someone suffer. Wow, God bless your noble heart. Shifts awkwardly. Clearly, he's uncomfortable and not accustomed to being the object of compassion, so he immediately hides behind yet another sarcastic comment. But what can I do? I feel sorry for every little kitten on the street. Sometimes I even feel sorry for especially large, nasty, troublesome kittens. It must be tough living with someone like that, huh? I bet you have 40 cats living in your apartment and all of them are strays. David reads me like an open book. It's amazing that he can't even read at all. Most of the time, help isn't altruistic. People always want something in return. Money, a favor for you to take them off the hook. Helping people for no reason is like throwing shit against the wind. Alright, moving on. Screw this. I honestly don't care what's going on in your head. This is the most unconvincing lie I've ever heard in my life. He clears his throat. Thank you. What, am I hearing things? I thought he didn't know such words. I'm even afraid to breathe so I don't scare off this rare exotic display of politeness. He says that word as if he's pronouncing it for the first time in his life. I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually the case. Just a couple more seconds and he is back in front of the counter. So the client is fed, clean and healed, and yet he's still here not putting any money on the counter and the tip jar is lacking. I look at him, he's supposed to be full of energy, but instead he looks lost. David is deep in thought, in that dark, gloomy little place that occupies his mind. Are you planning to pitch a tent here? Can I do anything else for you, sir? Cautiously step back. Have you decided to eat me after all? This isn't the best place to crash, buddy, but there's a vampire hotel 2 blocks down. This seemingly simple question stumps him. David frowns and looks past me for a while before responding. Yeah, you can do something. I'm curious about one thing. I haven't talked to a regular human in a long time. I wonder by regular human, does he mean my extremely natural essence? I am no vampire, werewolf, or thieving gnome. Or does he mean my lack of criminal record and absence of drug or alcohol dependency? Or maybe he's looking for the perspective of an ordinary worker, a working class person, a great caller. Does your face always look that funny when you're thinking about something? I don't even get a chance to respond to this jab before he follows up. Let's conduct an experiment. Suppose you're now a free vampire, able to go wherever you want, do whatever you want. Where would you go? David looks at me expectantly. What kind of superpowers do vampires have? What weaknesses will I have? And who were you before the bite? Can you find everyone who wronged you in life and get revenge? A lot of things depend on who exactly turned me into a vampire. Who vamped you? Wrap it up with a question. I'm ready to tell you my decision. A whole lot. We're practically a superhero league. I'm sure it never crossed your mind that in reality bloodsuckers can be way scarier than in sappy movies for girls. Looks like he's watched Twilight. Interesting. I haven't watched Twilight. David, do you want to watch Twilight with me? Some of us not only drink human blood but also capture people to experiment on them. They turn human bodies into a real nightmare of flesh and bones. Dr. Mora couldn't even imagine. Nie wiem, kto to? And there are vampire sorcerers who can rip your soul out of your body and make you work for them for eternity. Literally. Seems like I already have one of those sorcerers. His name is Bob. He's checking his bills. There he is. I wonder what inner strength it took David not to flinch. And there are those who can make your head explode literally with just a glance. But not all of us are such wicked bastards. We don't even have to kill a person to eat. Just drink a little instead of gorging yourself like a pig at the trout. But some don't care. They just drain all the blood and splash it everywhere. The forensics team is baffled why the person turned into a sprinkler before dying. He seems to enjoy talking about how cool vampires are. And can vampires open beer cans with their minds? Oh, then they can't, but they can drink beer afterwards. When I was just recently turned about 2 years ago, I tried to eat spaghetti, not the smartest decision. Got it. I don't want to know what happened with your spaghetti, I want to know something else. And what happened? I threw up farther than I could see, puking out blood and meatballs, left some graffiti and a bit of pasta on the wall. The guy who cleaned it up probably thought a whole spaghetti monster exploded in that alley. Giving up human food is a small price for immortality. Albo, mamma mia, no more pasta, pizza, no delicious food. That's terrible. You got it. Exactly. I miss pizza. My buddy used to say you always have to sacrifice something. In our case, it's pizza. Sounds silly, of course, but in reality, it sucks. Still, you get used to it over time. I can see he's lying. David lives in a spaghetti-less hell. What kind of monster would doom someone to that? You can still order food delivery, by the way. Just this time, meet the delivery guy. He seems to enjoy talking about how cool vampires are. And which of those you have? I've got a decent list of what I can do. I'm not complaining. Imagine it. You never get tired. You can party all night long. Fuck all night long. You're stronger than 10 thugs combined. Well, except for the 10 werewolf thugs. That might take some effort. If you want to shrink down and fly somewhere, you can turn into a tiny bat. Your reflexes become 100 times sharper. You feel everything. Dzisiaj wam powiem, że chyba wszyscy grają w Resident Evil, bo w sumie przed chwilą miałam, że jeden z moich znajomych na Steamie gra w Resident Evil 3, a wcześniej, zanim zaczęłam, inny znajomy grał w 4. Your reflexes become 100 times sharper. You feel everything. You see everything. You can hear a rat piss a block away. I don't want to hear what rats are up to. Oh Lord, Alex, that's just an idiom. You can ignore it if you want. All vampires would go insane if that was true. But I look like a madman. And finally, you can make people do anything you want. Absolutely anything. It's one thing to scare someone shitless, they give in just to avoid being harmed. It's another when they act with full confidence that it's what they want. They don't even realize they're just vampire pawns now. Yes, I think I get it. He pulled that trick on me too. David smiles, but this time the smile is strained. These are the words of someone stuck in a web of artificial connections and us-related threads. Fear and supernatural compulsion aren't the best foundation for a strong friendship. I can enchant friends for myself. Wonderful. Or make someone give me their wallet. David, you're a creature stuck in a web of artificial connections. Jestem ciekawa, jak zareaguje za to. He lets out a quiet chuckle. Well, not exactly friends, more like underlings. You can hatch all sort of cunning plans with human politicians or, well, pay no rent. The last part sounds like music to my ears. He seems to enjoy talking about how cool vampires are. Back to your question, David looks at me expectantly. Why did you watch Twilight? I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't watch emo crap. I hold a dramatic pause. David looks like a cornered animal. He stares at the floor, then the sitting animal at me. Finally, he lets out a loud sigh, filled with disappointment and embarrassment. Fine, damn it, alright, I watched everything. All Twilight movies, watched The Lost Boys interview with the vampire blade. The idiot who bit me didn't explain anything beyond the basics, like don't go out in the sun, you little punk. I thought maybe these stupid movies had a clue, you know, hidden in all that silly romance and melodrama. Most of it turned out to be bullshit. I read legends, search for info online, and you can imagine all supernatural beings try not to give themselves away, but sometimes you still stumble upon bits and pieces. Or crazies, one or the other. My favorite, by the way, was From Dusk Till Dawn. Too bad vampires don't explode in real life. You still haven't told me if you sparkle like Edward Cullen in the sun. He takes a deep breath. We don't sparkle. Want to know what happens if I step into the sun? Yeah. I have more questions. David looks at me expectantly. What weaknesses will I have? Well, no more tanning, no reflection in mirrors. If you were ugly before, it's actually a bonus, right? You can enter without an invitation. Garlic doesn't scare you either. Holy water is trickier, depends on the situation, as steak works, but piercing your chest would be quite the challenge. Piercing any part of you is quite the challenge, actually. Our skin is like steel unless a particularly persistent werewolf comes along. Well, at least you can enter without an invitation. No need for unnecessary chit-chat with people. David looks at me expectantly. And who were you before the bites? He opens his mouth, ready to tear me off, or mentions something about bats again, but stops himself. Probably his thank you sealed our fragile friendship. I'll tell you, but it's probably not relevant. Well, it's nothing. I was a nobody. I was just surviving as everything went to hell. Unlike all those bastards born with a silver spoon up their ass, he really likes bats. If you know what I mean. You ever see those happy American families in TV commercials? They sit at a table with a bowl of salad smiling at idiots, and they always have a dog. Well, that wasn't my case. So you didn't grow up in a nuclear family. My stepdad was a crazy guy who thought the best birthday gift was a smack on the head. He did teach me how to shoot properly though. I left my family dump early. It's really dumb, but I thought I'd start a band and become a rock star. But as they say, wish is one hand, shit is the other. See which one fills up faster. At first I worked wherever I could, then found some guys to do some shabby stuff with. There aren't many ways to make a living in the Los Angeles area. Can't exactly walk the cash register right. David jabs again, but without malice. The antisocial environment made him resentful of the middle and upper classes, but it hasn't affected me yet. I wonder why. Yeah. He lets out a quiet chuckle. Common life isn't as fun as it is in TV shows. Mostly, we just sold diluted crap to junkies and solved problems. Sometimes no personal problem, you know. I prefer the part about motorcycles. That's it, that's the whole story. What about you? Oh lord, this is my chance to make up something cool or just tell it like it is. I'm a criminal too, the best sniper in my gang. I'm no hiding under a fake name in another city and state. I have a single parent family and an art degree, and no dog. No telling. He listens to how I ended up in this dump, about my job search and everything else. I didn't sell drugs in alleys, but it seems we still find some common ground. Got it. You're not in your element. David truly understands. Neither he nor I wanted to end up where we are. Neither of us know what to do next. And we both love cheap noodles, but he can't eat them anymore. I win. You must be tired of those draw me requests, huh? I would draw you. Oh, like a French girl. He tries to look nonchalant, but his eyes show he's interested. Go ahead, I love beautiful doodles. He says the word doodles with such strange tenderness that it sounds more like a compliment than an insult. I pick up a pencil. Draw him as he is. Whoa, what a face. I almost forget what I look like. Bags under my eyes like a junkie. Silence hangs in the air while David examines the drawing. He clearly doesn't know how to react to this unexpected little act of normalcy. Looks cool. The last word are spoken in a barely audible, almost reverent whisper, unlike anything I've ever heard from him before. Those simple words, said with all the sincerity this guy can muster. I can do something too. David takes the pencil from me, and with deep concentration, almost sticking out his tongue, scribbles something. Oh my Boże, a few minutes later, drawing appears before me. I never would have thought this guy was capable of that. Wow, beautiful. David clears his throat, embarrassed. Nothing special, just a doodle. I was into it a bit when I was a kid. Comics, all that stuff, nothing serious. I take the drawing for myself. Alright, where were we? David looks at me expectantly. Can you find everyone who wronged you in life and get revenge? Yeah, a lot of people think about that first. But it's a bad idea to leave a trail of bodies of people you were somehow connected to. And your head quickly fills with other things like, well, the fact that you're dead and it's forever. So after you'd been turned, you didn't find anyone who bullied you in school and beat them up? I usually beat them up right at school. Ah, right. You might think I was some kind of bully, constantly pulling pranks, but I was actually quiet in class. Just messing around at the back of the class like an invisible man. Until some jerk started picking on me. Once I smashed a globe over a guy's head because he mocked my sneakers. As if wearing clothes from Walmart made me worse than them. Good thing we don't have globes here. David looks at me expectantly. A lot of things depend on who exactly turned me into a vampire. Who vamped you? He doesn't answer right away, just furrows his brows. Several long minutes pass in silence. Some old stinking jerk. A lot is mixed into those four words. It's as if he both hates and mourns the old jerk. Probably that guy wasn't a contender for Father of the Year. I wait for him to continue, but he remains silent. He looks like an angry cornered dog. It's unlikely he'll speak up on his own. And what did your old stinking jerk do? Don't call him that, damn it. Don't you dare. The rage in his eyes shift to confusion just for a brief moment before he looks away. I mean, yeah, call him whatever you want, including an old stinking jerk. Immediately use your privilege, old stinking jerk. So what did he do? That jerk suffered from power seizures. That's all there is to say about him. No amount of words could erase what that damn villain did in my memory. I suppose all the vampires are like that. It seems he won't tell me more about his vampire dad. David looks at me expectantly. Excellent. What was the question? I forgot. He leans in a little closer when suddenly we hear a wolf howling. Oh no. I love him. Oh my fucking god. I love this boy. I don't even have time to blink before David vanishes. Now he's a little bit hiding behind the counter. Listen up, don't say anything about me. Sit tight and behave or you will feel incredibly shitty. Trust me, if you rat me out to that much, I'll find a way to get out and twist your head off. The threat in his voice completely lacking, mostly because his voice now comes from a very small, though angry bat. Werewolf. A werewolf is about to come here now. The creature steps inside. Good evening, sir. A low, rumbling bass, surprisingly calm and friendly. I'm listening, sir. Apologies for this sudden intrusion. Edward, you can just call me Eddie. We're chasing down a certain pest. You haven't seen a vampire around here by chance, have you? You know, young and a bit scuffy, wearing a leather jacket. You see, here's the story. One of our packs nearly took out a vampire sire and his offsprings a few hours ago. It was a tough battle. We suffered losses. We tried to track them and found one of them, well, more like a pile of ash where he once lay. It seems one bloodsucker offed the other when he was weakened. Their family values are quite lacking. It seems patricide has occurred. David didn't tell me anything about it. Probably that's why he had all this question about vampirism. He was trying to get advice on where to go next after killing his creator, but in a completely idiotic way. You see, sir, vampires are parasites on the body of our society. They drink blood like mosquitoes, but unlike mosquitoes, they kill their victims by draining them dry. They languish in boredom with their immortality and thus destroy human destinies, play with them, torment them, and derive a semblance of pleasure from their suffering. Ale wygląda na wkurzonego. They are devoid of true feelings. I look at David, devoid of any feelings. He's shaking all over. So I would be extremely grateful for any help. Don't give David away. That bastard threatened me 5 minutes ago, but now he's small, trembling and helpless. He's my bastard. I force a smile and say I haven't seen anything. A quiet, peaceful night. Eddie examines me closely. He's probably catching a faint scent of blood, but my calm demeanor throws him off. Strange. Well, okay. If he shows up, just give me a whistle. We won't far away from here. Good night, sir. The werewolf goes off to his important wolf duties. David crawls out of his hiding spot. You could have turned me in. He stares into my eyes as if trying to peer into my soul and understand what's it made of. And that would have been the sensible decision. But I'm glad you're not one of those sensible ones. David says this with genuine relief in his voice, grateful to me and now doesn't quite know what to do with that gratitude. He clears his throat awkwardly. So, what It's the answer to my question, what would you do if you were a vampire? His gaze reminds me of a lost fighting dog. Without a master, he's restless and can't find his place. What an advisor he picked. May the Lord help him. I take everything life has to offer, travel, entertainment, new experiences. The world is full of wonders, and when you're immortal, all those are open to you. I just serve the internet, decay and rot, nothing will change. One could enslave humanity, or at least one neighborhood in the city. You could learn so many things, read so many books, even learn to play the saxophone. I've touched on something deeply personal. His lack of education, his unrealized dreams, it's dangerous territory. Perhaps before me stands a great unrealized astrophysicist or the next Mozart. Saxophone, really? Want to play blues? David laughs, but the laughter quickly fades. I reminded him that he can now become whoever he wants, break free from the usual tough guy routine. Okay, I'll think about it, just forget the saxophone. Always wanted to learn guitar. Hooray, rock vampires! Here, take it for buying a saxophone. David is about to turn around and leave when he suddenly stops. He pulls a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket, scribbles a number on it, and leaves it on the table next to my hand. But just as I reach for it, his hand covers mine, pressing it to the table. His skin feels cold, rough from barely visible scars and blisters. This grave-like chill sharply contrasts with the warmth of my own hand. I feel at least slight tingling like static electricity. Call me if you need a ride from work. I've got a couple of ideas for what we could do before dawn. See you. Yes. Please. David says goodbye and leaves. The gas station sinks into absolute silence. Well, that was quite an interesting encounter. I really could have turned him in, but I didn't want to. Hang the drawing on the wall. Was someone obsessed with us-related threads? Surprisingly, his hands are quite skilled. Now I also have a date invitation from a guy who wanted to make me his dinner half an hour ago. I survived another visitor. It seems I'm starting to get used to this job. Wiping off the sticky residue, hoping it was just spilled soda from the counter, I suddenly heard a crunch of gravel outside. Hoofs? Okej, ale wydaje mi się, że na dzisiaj sobie skończymy. O Boże. Na razie David wygrywa. My poo boy. I love him so much. Prawdopodobnie pominęliśmy ilustrację z Darianem. Tak się nazywa? Ale spokojnie. Pewnie będę wracać. Będziemy próbowali zrobić wszystkie zakończenia i te sprawy. Ale to się zobaczy. Tym bardziej, czy będziecie chcieli zobaczyć całą tą gierkę. Jestem naprawdę zadowolona z tego, co udało mi się znaleźć. Tak naprawdę ta gra jest darmowa na itch.io. I wiem, że na pewno wrócę i jak będę miała wypłatę, bo teraz po prostu nie byłam w stanie, ale jak będę miała pieniążki, to na pewno wpłacę coś autorowi, bo to jest niesamowite. Te memy, te historie, te różne postacie, ich osobowości i ten art, Boże. Naprawdę jestem niebowzięta, że udało mi się coś takiego znaleźć. Muszę chyba częściej grzebać w dziwnych tagach Ichio. No, ale ja wam bardzo dziękuję za to, że mimo że jest tak późno, spędziliście ze mną tyle czasu, poznaliśmy 2 hotboyów, a przed nami stoi 3, no i jest Bob. Więc ja wam bardzo dziękuję za dzisiaj. Jak mówiłam, jestem niezwykle wdzięczna. Zastanawiam się, czy jutro zrobić live'a na tej dziwnej platformie, czy po prostu popracować jeszcze na overlayem i tak dalej. Tym bardziej, że tam jest po angielsku, więc musiałabym zmienić tekst na overlayu. Więc tutaj troszeczkę więcej roboty by było. A ta gra mi się bardzo, 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 bardzo podoba. Więc w sumie chciałabym do niej jutro wrócić. Nie wiem, o której będzie live. Mam nadzieję, że uda mi się dużo szybciej. Muszę jutro wyczyścić pralkę i posprzątać chomikom. I nie wiem, o której wstanę, ale mam nadzieję, że jako tako dołączę do was przynajmniej o tej 14, że nie będę musiała drzemać, bo podejrzewam, że w poniedziałek będę musiała robić nadgodzinę, więc będę musiała przyjść szybciej do pracy. A szybciej do pracy oznacza wstawanie o niemoralnych godzinach. Więc tak. Możecie dać mi znać, jak wam się podobało. I życzę wam dobrej nocy, spokojnego poranka, dobrego popołudnia, smacznej kawusi. Do zobaczenia na następnym live'ie albo w kolejnej serii. No i co? Dziękuję wam i pa pa!